Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's me Gamerturk, and this is the second part of my Fixing Sword Art Online Gameverse series, where I talk about some of the glaring issues of SAO Gameverse. Last week I talked specifically about Fatal Bullet, namely the bad endings of the game featuring Zeliska and Kureha. Today we're still remaining in this micro perspective, focusing on Fatal Bullet specifically, before shifting to a macro perspective in the future episodes, where I'll talk about the Gameverse in general. And today's topic is the true ending of Fatal Bullet that is hidden behind certain requirements. I feel like it's fairly obvious, but still, keep in mind that this will be serious spoiler territory for Fatal Bullet, so if you have not completed the main campaign of Fatal Bullet or haven't cleared the true ending yet, you may want to turn back here depending on if you're willing to experience spoilers or not. Now, there are three major aspects that turn the true ending into a bad experience. These three can be summed up as decisions, OC's personality, or rather lack thereof, and the incredibly inconclusive ending that makes you go, what? Is this even an ending? Unlike the previous video where I had improvement suggestions for the Kureha and Zeliska endings, I won't be offering such improvements in this video, since I do not believe the true ending can be improved by sticking to its current core. There is just so much wrong with it that scrapping it and going back to the drawing board is the only solution for this. Now, let's start with the biggest problem of this true ending. You see, when you have a game that is advertised as your decisions having a serious impact on the story, one would naturally expect a hidden true ending to be hidden behind making certain specific decisions, right? I mean, find the optimal decisions, solidify your friendship with Kureha and Zeliska, and force the normally calm Itsuki to slip up, resulting in you discovering his plans. Oh, wait, that actually sounds interesting, and Fatal Bullet does its best at not providing anything interesting throughout its story. It is absolutely criminal to lock the true ending behind a tedious affinity grind instead of, offering a specific decision path leading you to the ending when you have such a premise. It's confusing that you have to get a high affinity rating with Zeliska and Kureha to unlock it. It is weird that you need to have level 2 affinity with every single main cast character. It is outright crazy, requiring you to almost have max affinity with Basalt Joe, who's completely inconsequential to the game's integral cast of characters. Why in the world do I need to have a strong relationship with Basalt Joe for the events of true ending to go the way they do? Why do I need strong relationships with anybody besides Itsuki for those events to happen the way they do? Having certain affinity levels with anybody besides Itsuki is completely irrelevant to the final story, so this choice absolutely breaks immersion and locks the true ending behind a meaningless grind. Having certain affinity levels with anybody besides Itsuki is just completely irrelevant to the final story, so this choice absolutely breaks immersion and just locks the true ending behind a meaningless grind. Now, as for Itsuki's affinity, credit to where credit is due. Itsuki's affinity events actually tie in with the true ending, so much that his final affinity event is integral to how the true ending proceeds. As you decide to use a weapon Itsuki gave you as a token of friendship against him, which creates an emotional dilemma on his side, stalling him and eventually making him run out of time. This was very well done. But this is highly overshadowed by the entire grind you had to go through being meaningless, and more importantly, the horrible reactions from the OC, which leads us to the second point of why the true ending fails to deliver. Now, I have to go on a small tangent here. I am a strong advocate against custom protagonists because they are rarely done right. And while it is certainly not open-minded of me, I am completely against mute custom characters at all cases. Well, there were times where I was proven wrong with a well-done mute protagonist. 99% of the time, a mute protagonist becomes more of a burden on storytelling instead of what the developers actually aimed him or her to be, which is a blank slate for the audience to reflect themselves on. Sadly, Fatal Bullet is no exception to this. While yes, the protagonist in Fatal Bullet is indeed a blank slate, he is nowhere near relatable for you to reflect yourself on. Heck, if the game was not a third-person shooter, I would have forgotten what my main character even looked like. Because Whether you are there in the events or not, it doesn't really matter. You don't speak, you don't contribute, you don't help anybody figure out any mysteries. In group talks, everybody just speaks with each other while somebody speaks for you, so you don't have to say anything. When you are having a one-on-one dialogue with someone, it's essentially that person having a monologue, staring to your face, again saying a bunch of lines instead of you speaking. Because everybody in this game is a freaking mind reader and they know exactly what you are thinking. Oh, wait, so you're telling me that Itsuki was wrong when he considered you a friend? Oh, fuck you, you don't know what to think, obviously your opinion is wrong. And that one sentence is essentially the problem with the OC. Yeah, you're a blank slate, but not for you to reflect yourself on. The OC is a blank slate for other in-game characters to project whatever they want onto you. Everybody in the game really tried their best at fooling you into thinking the protag does have some sort of personality. Kirito goes as far as stating that we are very similar to him, and this is something that throws you even further off from the game. And what's just putting salt to injury is how unresponsive your character is at critical moments. You see, before you reach the ending, there is this one scene where Itsuki opens up to you, talking about how he is willing to become the devil to have our friendship. He proceeds by contacting someone outside of the game and telling him to execute the plan, which results in GGO servers booting everyone from the game. And the next day you log back in, everybody's asking about what happened, why the servers went down. One would assume somebody who is as amazing, as skilled, as intelligent as our OC, at least according to everyone around us that is, would make the connection between Itsuki telling someone to execute the plan and the servers eating shit 2 seconds later. Right? Wrong! We don't even say a word, we don't even speak with Itsuki about it. That is outright stupid. There is nothing else to say to this. The entire overall ending is made artificial by our OC not being allowed to say anything here by the developers of Fatal Bullet, and the biggest screw up a story writer can make is to force the story to proceed in an artificial way. A capable writer would be able to make the OC talk in that instance, tie the incident to Itsuki, and even if things don't go a completely different way, at least there would be suspicion towards Itsuki within the group. It's simple as that. Aside from being outright stupid, it is literally harder from a storytelling perspective to ignore this gigantic clue, and surprisingly they did exactly that. But it doesn't end there. Since I already talked about the decision aspect of the true ending, I'll skip the events and jump straight to where Itsuki reveals himself to be the villain. Specifically the scene where he asks, "Are you mad at me for deceiving you and your friends into a death game?" And the OC goes,
僕だけのものにしていたはずなのに。騙されたことを怒っているのかい？
What the actual fuck? This is the single most idiotic sentence in the game. If somebody asks me if I'm mad at them for putting me in a situation on purpose where me and my friends can die, my answer most probably would lie somewhere around the yes, I am fucking mad region of answers. I am pretty sure even for a culture so different from ours, this is not a normal answer in Japan. Idiot people keep talking about Kirito being Jesus-kun, completely disregarding the cause and effect of every scenario, but fam, this OC is your Jesus. He solves every one of your issues, he works in mysterious ways, and he doesn't even feel angry at people who are actively trying to murder him and his friends. And then the fancy pants has the audacity to tell me, of course you are, and you're not that kind of a person. How about you shut the fuck up and stop telling me what kind of a person I am after trying to get us all killed? I don't even know what to say to this. This piece of dialogue is such a train wreck that I got nothing in my hands. I can't do anything but rant. Why couldn't OC keep being his pathetic blank slate self and not give a single answer? Why did the game not offer one of those pathetic dialogue choices with little meaning in difference, so at least we could choose the worst of the two choices? Why did the answer have to be a "No, I am not mad"? That is absolutely mad, and there is nothing more to talk about it. As for the third aspect, people say the finale was rushed. I sincerely disagree. If it was rushed, the outcome wouldn't be the train wreck of terrible decisions that we have here, it would be a train wreck of plot holes. Now there's a significant difference between the two. The ending was not rushed in any way, it was deliberately designed like this. You see, Hollow Realization did this as well. When we fought against Tia, in the end Tia ran away, leaving a huge cliffhanger at the end of the story. The same thing happens with Fatal Bullet. Itsuki runs away, leaving a huge cliffhanger at the end of the story. But there is one huge difference in the two cliffhangers we have been provided. You see, Hollow Realization, while providing a cliffhanger at the end of the main campaign, actually tied up the two story threads it started throughout the game, one of which is the NPCs disappearing for good if they die, and the mystery behind Genesis. Both of these stories were completed throughout the game, while the final chapter was there as a gateway for the DLC chapters, not as an ending to the main campaign. Meanwhile, in Fatal Bullet, the only story in the main campaign is a gateway for the DLC. Can you tell me a single story thread in the main campaign that drives our characters forward? No, because there is no story throughout the game. Well, the only story is play the game, which I do not really consider a story if I'm playing a game where the characters in the game plays a game. That is not a story, that is what you do when you play a game, namely playing the game. Zeliska's true identity? That's not a story thread, that's just a reveal that does not really affect anything here. Kureha's jealous? That's not even a character arc since there is no resolve in the end aside from the one in Zeliska's ending, which is not canon. The only meaningful story thread was Itsuki himself, and that single plot point never got a conclusion in the main campaign, and will probably be concluded in one of the DLC episodes. And to be blunt, it is unacceptable to sell a full game without a complete story, and that is what Fatal Bullet True Ending leaves us with. A full game without a complete story. If you've been following my channel, you probably know that I really enjoy Sword Art Online games despite their many flaws. But Fatal Bullet has crossed certain lines that it stopped being acceptable at this point. Next Friday, I'll be aiming to get my Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet Ultimate review out, and the week after, I'll be continuing this series, fixing the Sword Art Online Gameverse from a macro perspective, diving into the thread burnout aspect of the games. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified when those videos go up. You can support my content by becoming a patron on patreon.com/Gamerturk and by sponsoring me on YouTube Gaming. You can also find me on Twitter at Gamerturk95 and on facebook.com/Gamerturk for quicker updates. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.